She's eating ice cream. My girlfriend's eating ice cream. Everyone, come over here, yeah? Come and have a look. She's eating ice cream. No, I'm just joking. I love you. Yeah, I'm going to call you in like 30 minutes, yeah? Okay, love you, bye. On today's edition of that was my girlfriend just taking the piss out of her a bit. She's Japanese. Love to confuse her. The Japanese like to confuse them. On today's episode of the Johnny Massacre Show, Sekiro kind of sucks on PS4. You know, that ninja game. Also, Google Stadia. Is that how you pronounce it? And finally, the Megadrive Mini has a release date. We're going to look at that and the game's coming for it. I'm Johnny Massacre. This is the Johnny Massacre Show. Right, she's eating ice cream, everyone. She's eating ice cream. Listen, yeah, if you come round my house tonight, what I'll do is, yeah, we'll make some food, and then, you can come over and I'll cook it. It's like shepherd's pie, yeah? And then the coppers might come, but if they come, I'll just give them some fucking bangers and mash, mate, alright? Welcome to the Johnny Massacre Show. Enough impressions. I want to talk to you a little bit about Sekiro on the PS4, this ninja game. Sekiro's by the people who made Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I haven't played either of them. I've taken a ridiculous hiatus from playing games. I used to play like every day, 12 hours a day on Halo 3. Took a massive break, just putting more into the music. And I'm kind of dipping my toe back into gaming. A lot has changed. There are loot boxes. There are all kinds of weird fucking things going on. And some good, some bad. Now, Sekiro, I haven't played the games before it by the same developer, but they're heralded as great games, really, really tough games. I'm from an era where games were really fucking hard, so I like hard games. I don't want this watered down mass market bullshit. I want a challenge. And apparently Sekiro is going to be just that. Now, I had massive hopes for it. I really wanted Bloodborne. That looked really cool. It kind of took that Victorian era look and put it into a video game. So when I played it, I have to be honest, I was massively disappointed. You know, sometimes when you get a game, off the bat you love it. The graphics are good, everything looks good, it's all cushy and you just want to play it. I didn't get that feeling at all with Sekiro. As soon as I turned it on, I thought, what the fuck? You start off in this dark hole, a fucking hole. Every game starts off in a fucking hole and you have to climb up, you have to hug the wall. And I just felt it's too floaty. It feels like you're ice skating when you walk around. So I'm not a fan of the animations of the game at all. I have to be honest. I mean, have a look at this. Let's just run some Sekiro footage so you can know what I'm chatting about. Have a look at my screen. Okay, so right, you can see it here. Here's a bit of Sekiro. Now, the other thing about the game that I really, really didn't like is the fact that the frame rate is shit on the PS4, and this kind of made me realise that PS4 is now a little bit like a fucking iPhone. You know, your iPhone's aging and these new applications come out that are designed to run on the new hardware, and when you run it on your old iPhone it's slow and crappy, and so you're kind of forced to upgrade. That's basically Sekiro on the PS4. It's clearly designed for the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, but moreover the PS4 Pro, because it's a Japanese developer and Japanese developers don't give a fuck about Western consoles so much. And it's 30 frames a second. It's locked at 30 frames a second and it doesn't fucking work. It feels like crap. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And a game like Sekiro that's basically marketed itself on its amazing graphics cannot have a shitty frame rate. So look, it's my fault. I'm the one with the fucking PS4. I'm late to the party. I should get a Pro, right? That's what it means. So from playing this game, I've realised that it's a bit disappointing, just the general look of it, and you need a PS4 Pro to play it. You just should buy a PS4 Pro. Anyone out there's got a PS4, it's time to fucking consign that to the dustbin, mate, to the trash can. Get rid of it. Get a new one. Otherwise, you're going to have shitty frame rates. Don't believe me? Have a look at the game. Have a look at the game. I'll play it for you now. Right. So here's PS4, here's PS4 Pro. Usually you can't see that much of a difference when they do this, but with Sekiro I think you can. It just looks so much crisper on the PS4 Pro. So you look on the left how blurry that is, man. That looks blurry. On the right, it kind of looks like you're really in the world. It's much crisper. Now look on the left, look at it. Look at that. Well, that's not too bad. But when you start moving, it's when you start walking around, you're going to see how fucking annoying it is. You can see on the right, the PS4's at around 50 frames a second, even on 4K. So, okay, look on the left. Just focus on the left. Look at that jittery frame rate, that laggy frame rate. It's horrible. It's just 10 frames a second too slow. Then turn your attention to the one in the middle. It looks about right. It looks like you're in feudal Japan. The blood looks good. It looks believable. Look, you're flying out. Now look on the left. Look, it's all jerky and shit. It totally takes away from the experience. So I've got to be honest. That really killed it for me. So to summarize, games now are being developed for the newer, updated consoles. So you should just go and fucking update your cunting console or you're going to be disappointed. Obviously, they're not going to advertise that when the game's coming out. Hey, by the way, if you have the old one, it's going to look kind of shitty. They're not going to say it. But take it from me, it does. So if you're thinking about buying a PS4 for Sekiro, make sure it's the PS4 Pro. Other than that, look, I played it for 5 minutes. And it's not often I'll just play a game for 5 minutes and give up. But that's a kind of a sign of how good the game is. I played a lot of games in my time. And you just get a feeling, right? When you're playing a wicked game, the presentation, the graphics, everything, it's right off the bat. Some games take longer to get into, but a game of Sekiro's caliber with the developer behind it and the reputation they have, they should be hitting all the fucking buttons, checking all the boxes for as soon as you turn on the console. So anyways, I'll give it a chance and I'll give you an update on that a little bit later. In other video game news, we have got the Megadrive Mini, known as the Genesis in America. You've probably heard of this. It's just a retro miniature version of the flagship Sega console that made Sega into the household name it is today. Is it still a household name? Kind of. They mainly just make arcades now. So here it is, the Sega Genesis. It's going to release on September the 19th. So that's the news. We've got a release date later this year. It's going to cost $80, 40 games included. So some of the games listed here, we've got, what have we got? Castlevania Bloodlines. I never played that. I never really got into Castlevania. Don't hate me. I know it is a much loved franchise. And some people say some of those games are the best games ever made. Comic Zone, that was a beat 'em up. There's a bit, I didn't like the art style. Gunstar Heroes, Game My Treasure, a great 2D developer. That's one of the best games ever made, Gunstar Heroes. Madou Monogatari Ichi, don't know what that is. Powerball, Puyo Puyo 2, fuck puzzle games. Rent a Hero, Shining Force, that's an RPG. Sonic 2, classic. No, Sonic 1. Oh, there is. Sonic 1. Space Harrier 2. Oh, that's the Japanese version. The US version includes Altered Beast. That's a classic. A bit crappy, but a classic. And also Ecco the Dolphin. Man, that game was so fucking hard. I hated that game. Sonic the Hedgehog 1. So what the fuck? That's just weird. That's just weird. The Japanese one has Sonic 2, but the Western one has Sonic 1. Why would you do that? It's your flagship character. Put all the fucking Sonic games on, you idiot! Seriously, if you're gonna buy a fucking retro console that you could just emulate with ROMs, at least put the fucking flagship games that people bought the console for on it! Jesus Christ. Idiots. Let's have a look at some of the games coming out for it. So here's like a Japanese kind of ad thing. Let's watch this.
30年の時を超えてメガドライブが復活する。手のひらに収まるほどの小型軽量化。
So look. Same part, same deal, it's just smaller. Excited Japanese man. Okay. So yeah, you got the HDMI port and whatnot. So that's just a little look at the console. Let's look at some of the games. Yeah, let's look at some of the fucking games. So this is another Japanese ad. It's gonna run through some of the games. I really hope when I speak the volume's going down. If it's not, just bear with me. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's how they pronounce it. Mate, I love this game. Love it. I preferred it actually to the first one.
Bit too easy though, but. The Japanese pronunciation, well funny to Westerners. Listen to the music. Yattana! That means yeah. So the music on the Megadrive is great because it uses a form of synthesis known as frequency modulation synthesis, aka FM synthesis. And the Megadrive sound chip apparently had 2 sound chips, so it was kind of unique. It was different from the Super Nintendo, the Super Famicom, which had 1 sound chip. This one had 2, and it was based on a Yamaha sound chip of the time, a Yamaha analog synthesizer. I believe perhaps it was the DX7. So it kind of sounds like these periodic synthesizers and has this really kind of zeitgeisty retro feel. It had great sound. It had a really unique sound, much grittier because of FM. FM synthesis is much grittier. So it's a bit of trivia for you there. And what other shit do we have on it? Shining Force. This looks crap. I never played this. Mega Drive RPGs. There's a few. Vampire Kira. This is the Castlevania game. I think this is an absolute classic. They're supposed to be mad hard as well. I quite want to play this. Wrestle Ball. What the fuck is that? Wrestle Ball! That looks terrible. Okay, this is a classic. Heroes. Absolute classic. Comic Zone. Okay, so let's just go through a few more. We got... This is Castlevania that I never played. Oh fuck this, some ad with some wanker. Shining Force, Gunstar Heroes. Look at this rudimentary 3D on the fucking Sega Megadrive. I've just made that look terrible. This game was so fucking hard. Ecco the Dolphin. It starts off, it just feels like some weird kind of SeaWorld nightmare. And oh man, the music was weird. That's FM synthesis, that kind of gritty sound. It's using kind of additional oscillators to make the sound kind of more intense. Look at this. This is not a good game, man, but at the time it got really good reviews and shit. The graphics were kind of good for the time. I mean, no, I don't want to play this. This is one of my favourite games of all time. Coming up next, listen to the music. This was mind-blowing because look at the intro. Other Sega games just had the Sega logo against black, but this had all these stars. So when I saw it, I thought, what the fuck's going on, mate? This is an amazing game. It's one of the best games ever made, I swear. One of the most underrated for sure. Listen to the music, made by a genius. What is it with game composers from the early 90s? Geniuses. This is when like hip hop was becoming mainstream. Listen to that. What a fucking game that is. And they just re-released one through crowdfunding, which looks like absolute shite. Sorry, but it does. And finally, on the agenda for today is Google Stadia. So Google is releasing a streaming service. I don't know, man. I kind of bad-mouthed the prospect. I'm just against it generally because I have 100 megabit internet and I'm in Japan, and when I play Rainbow Six with my mate Luke, I always have the shittest ping ever. So already, with regular gaming, the ping is shit. Imagine streaming it as well. Okay, if I streamed it and played it in Japan, it might be better, but surely it's just dependent upon your internet connection. Surely that's all it's about, right? But my mate Luke said, no. Apparently Google, they got loads of money. They're a big tech. They've got the best fucking computer scientists in the world working for them. Apparently they might have a way to make it better than the regular streaming, which is kind of, you know, I guess epitomized by these companies that came up recently and then just disappeared because they couldn't generate enough revenue, because it's just kind of shit, isn't it? Really, the kind of people who stream, no offense if it's you, but are the people who don't have a lot of money, right? Can't invest in like some hardware, so just like pay a few quid and like maybe I can play some. No, mate, come on. Gaming is life. You got to spend a bit of coin on it. You got to put an investment into it. Google are investing into it, and if that is the case, that it's going to be a steadier connection and Is it going to be more streamlined and not so much lag? Well, what's not to love about that? But I'll believe it when I see it. I just think even if you have good internet, it's not enough. We need to see a revolution in internet before we go down the whole fucking streaming, game streaming, Netflix of gaming avenue, which is a very lazy journalistic term that people are throwing around to describe Google Stadia. When is that going to happen? Because someone let me know in the comments, when is good internet coming? Because really, we've been on 100 megabit internet for 10 fucking years. In 10 years, so much technology's advanced. When is the next sick internet coming? When is that coming? When is that fucking coming? When that happens, I think things like Google Stadia will work. But until then, I don't know, mate. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see in it. What are your thoughts on Google Stadia? It's a weird fucking name, isn't it? All right, that's about it for the Johnny Massacre Show today. Let's talk about my life. Why does that shit always go jerky? Fuck all this streaming software bullshit. What's going on in my life? Well, I've been getting ripped in the gym. Look, it's like a fucking Hulk, mate. Fucking Hulk. Lift up a car. I've been getting shredded in the gym. Well, it's not really shredded. I broke my bench press record at 105 kilograms. Motherfuckers. So I'm the strongest I've ever fucking been. And the guy at my gym, he's like an ex-UFC guy. He says my punch is the hardest punch of like 1,000 gym members. So I'm a fucking savage bastard right now. As of today, April the 1st, this is not full, I'm starting cutting for my sexy summer body. So that's 3 months lead time. Beat season starts in July in Japan. Last year it took me 3 months. I'm basically aiming for 2 months with a month's leeway. So I'm going to start cutting now. So leading up to cutting, knowing I'm as strong as I've ever been, I've decided I'm just going to eat loads of food. So I had 3 cheat days in a row. It was a half a cheat week. I ate fucking 3 pizzas. I ate loads of donuts. I ate loads of sweets. I haven't eaten a sweet in about 3 or 4 years. And that was the first one I've had. I don't know, man. It kind of tastes good, but it gives you a fucking headache and fucks with your system. So I can still vouch for the low carb diet. So I'm going to start cutting today. And yeah, no, just continuing doing shit. There's a piece of hardware I'm really thinking about buying. And it's called the Curve Bender by Chandler. Now, this is the missing jigsaw piece for my studio. I made a song recently that's forthcoming, and it has the most ridiculous drums, and it is done through a combination of analog gear and this device. The Curve Bender, the tone, it's famous for its tone. Even just running something through and overdriving it, it's not so much the EQ, although the distortion is coming from the EQ anyways. It's not just the input and output distortion, but it's the tone and distortion of the device, not so much the boosting and cutting of the individual frequencies that makes it special. And it kind of does an almost dynamic process to the sound. It feels like there's some kind of clipping going on that really rounds it off, and then after that you take the sound and whatever you drive it through, you can take it to ridiculous levels because it's really malleable. All the sharp edges have been kind of smooth sanded. So yeah, this is a classic piece of gear. I'll show it to you. I'm thinking about pulling the trigger. Of course, there's always more gear to get, but this is the most expensive thing that I really fucking need. So I'm thinking about getting that. Working on music hard as usual. Got some wicked tunes coming. And yeah, that's about it. Just, you know, been watching YouTube a bit. My man Ben Shapiro, still love the guy. Watching all the news about Trump and Russia and all that, and it's just anyone with any common sense knew that was all bullshit. And so the media have just been lying to people for 2 years, pushing any story they can to get rid of Donald Trump just because they don't like him. They want to undermine democracy and have a kind of fixed president every time of their choosing. Fuck all that shit. Trump's a nutcase, but he's the best of what's out there, and that says a lot. I mean, fuck, man, there really ain't that much good going out there, but at least Trump's like looking after the American people, America first and all that shit. Say what you like about the guy, he's a fucking genius. He's president, he's like the most powerful guy in the world, and people call him a lunatic and a nutter. I want to be the most powerful person in the world. If Trump can do it, so can I. So he's not really that bad. People just, they hype it up a bit. I will say though that tensions between politically minded people are just worse than ever. The right are kind of digging their heels in, the left are digging their heels in. There's so much disagreement and just toxic shit everywhere about politics. I still just sit on the fence in the middle watching it all unfold, sitting pretty in Japan. I cracked it. Just come out here, you don't have to deal with all that shit. You can just watch people get on with it. The thing about living in Japan is you have a very detached perspective about all of this. I'm not invested in all this stuff because in Japan they're really right wing. They just stick up for the Japanese people. Foreigners are all secondary. And so the politics out here are not even close to what they're like in Europe and America at the moment. So I do notice a lot of people I know who've been living there for a long time get sucked into it because they're living it. They're living within that political system. But being outside it, you can kind of look at it from a sideways perspective, a bit of distance, not have so much emotional attachment, and kind of see things for, I think, how they are much clearer than if you were inside it where you can't see the wood from the trees. There's so much noise from social media and all this and so much fake news and what have you. But looking at all that happen from somewhere where you're not invested in what's going on really gives you an interesting perspective on it. So I'm kind of looking at political things, still enjoying that, but I guess not putting as much time and effort into it. You know, there's all these political things like Captain Marvel, but I just don't care anymore. You can make your shitty social justice movies. I'm not going to watch it, and that's all that matters. I just feel sorry for all the people who pay to watch it because it's not made from the heart. That's not a passionate thing. You know, real artists comes from in here. They don't want to fucking teach someone some kind of political message like a parent talking down to a child. Fuck all that shit. Anyways, rambling now. Thanks for tuning in to Johnny Massacre Show this week. It was quite fun to do, because basically I haven't done it a lot recently, but you know, if you leave me the comments in the box below, we can do a little bit more next time. Maybe you'll get 2 or 3 in a week, mate. But just make sure the coppers don't know, yeah? See you on the next one.